right. I think we're up and running. Hopefully everybody's having a good morning today. We got lots to talk about. Powell testifies in front of the Senate at 9 a.m. Central Time. I don't know if I'll be around for that. That's kind of boring sometimes too, and it takes hours. We'll talk about the University of Michigan inflation expectation survey, which jumped astronomically to 4.3% just the other day. I think it was Friday that we got that survey, and why it's completely wrong and politically partisan. Because you could see when the inflation started, it started right after Trump became the president. That's when the expectations jumped in Michigan. But before we even get there, there's a few things I want to talk about. I want to talk about the bond market and inflation, why I think TLT is dropping right now, and then why I think we're hitting the floor too. And then we'll jump over and talk about just misinformation that is common, I think, on everywhere in social media, but especially by people who never look past headlines. And so we're going to talk about that too. I want to start off, though, real quickly with the bond side of things. I'm pulling this up. I showed it the other day. I want to show it again. This is from, what was it, Andreas Steno or... Larson. I don't know what part of Europe he's in, but he's in Europe. So he did a comparison here. It's Steno Research, Bloomberg, and Macro Bond, right? So what he was showing here is he was showing that the trueflation inflation number, which is in this blackish color, this dark blue, where it is at and how well it tracks against the 10-year yield on bonds. And so his argument is inflation is dropping, bond yields should be dropping. I 100% agree with this. I think this is something that we're going to be seeing in the not too distant future. And again, when the price of TLT, the 20-year bond ETF, is dropping, what that's telling you is that rates are going up. Or I'm sorry, yields are going up. I shouldn't say rates. So you got to watch your terminology here. And it is. Today we have the 10-year going up to 0.8%, so we have it climbing a little bit. We're kind of, but again, this pattern, this megaphone pattern, this rising broadening wedge will break down. So for now, again, what's great is we got this gap closed. If you look over here, we have this large daily gap that I talked about last week, and how a good entry would be right when we get down here around the 88.43 level. So if anybody hasn't gotten into TLT and was looking for a good opportunity, I would say that this would be the right time, because in pre-market we are sitting right here, perfectly closing the gap that we had created last week. So I think that's a good thing. And again, inflation expectations are just really, really overdone. But we need to talk about something else. So we need to talk about this. We need to talk about people like QE Infinity. He's got more followers than me, 2,000 so far. I will pass him, I think, just from quality of work versus just spewing out garbage. But we want to read. Let's read what he says, and then we'll look at the original article, and then I'll tell you what the truth is. So it says, translation: Trump wants to manufacture a recession to cool things off. Oh, well, that's okay. Increasing labor supply equals higher unemployment. Does it, though? We'll talk about that in a second. Lowering demand equals higher unemployment, less credit to spend. But it depends on what you're lowering the demand for, does it not? Economy then cools and rates drop, aka recession. Any questions? Yeah, why are you such a fucking idiot? And how many people liked my post in here? 1, me. So nobody's even looked at what I said down below in this. Nobody's even looked at it. And they're just taking what this idiot's saying at face value. So let's read the original post. Walter Bloomberg, somebody who puts 0 quotes in here and says, White House economic advisor Hassett, Trump wants to fight inflation by increasing labor supply and lowering aggregate demand. Aggregate demand for what? What's the context here? So I provide some because, first I shit talk. I said, it's awesome when you post things with quotes and have no link to the interview. Seems like almost like you're projecting whatever you want to hear, and the lemmings can interpret this how they want. All right, so let's get in here. So I did provide the link. I won't pull it up and watch it right now, but you can. But here's the context of it. I said, okay, so here's the link and what he really said. Hassett was referencing the fact that we need to increase the labor supply by reducing the marginal tax rate for people on Social Security and working overtime. Because with this comes increased supply of goods and services, while also increasing the productivity numbers we like to look at. And at the same time, you have labor. This is actually wrong. You have labor wages going up. I should have worded this better. You have their individual wages going up, but you have labor wages as a source of inflation going down, because again, you're basically increasing the supply and you're increasing productivity, so you don't have to have like all these extra people come in, but you're increasing individual wages. Hopefully I'm saying that well. I don't know if it's coming across. I'm going to skip this part because that's kind of redundant, but I do want to show this. So this is impact on labor of what we just talked about, right? Lowering the marginal tax rate. It says incentive to work more. When the marginal tax rate decreases, individuals keep a larger portion of their additional earnings. This can theoretically incentivize people to work more hours or take on more work because the financial reward for doing so increases. So again, if we're getting rid of taxes for overtime pay, if we're getting rid of taxes on Social Security, if we're getting rid of taxes on waiters and waitresses, you're making it to where, hey, I can make a lot of extra money right here. I just put in an extra 5 hours. Those people also feel richer and they have more money to spend and they spend it in the economy. So you end up helping out the lower half while at the same time we're removing a bunch of illegal immigration, which removes some pressure on that market too and allows these people to have jobs and work overtime, okay? So income effect. If the people feel wealthier due to keeping more of their income, they might work less if they feel their needs are met. However, the primary expectation is an increase in labor supply due to the substitution effect, working more because leisure becomes relatively more expensive. So let me read the second part here. Economic theory, supply side economics. Advocates for lower marginal tax rates argue that this leads to increased economic activity. This is the key part. This is what Trump is trying to accomplish. He isn't trying to manufacture a fucking recession. He's trying to increase economic activity, not fucking reduce it, which if you look at Walter Bloomberg or you look at QE Infinity, you'd get the exact opposite impression. Advocates for a lower marginal tax rate argue that this leads to increased economic activity as people are more motivated to work, save, and invest, potentially leading to economic growth. The Laffer curve, and let me just move this real quick because I can't read the whole thing. This economic theory suggests that there's an optimal tax rate where tax revenue is maximized. Lowering the marginal tax rate could in some scenarios increase total tax revenue and significant boost labor supply and economic activity. So this is like the opposite of what that dipshit said, of what QE Infinity said, right? This is the opposite of what that guy said. So again, watch who you listen to and see how much critical thinking they actually put in to what they fucking say. Okay? Because if you're following this idiot who has 2,000 more followers than I am, then you believe that Trump is deliberately trying to manufacture a recession. And if your entire economic thesis is driven off of that, and that's not what he's trying to do at all, and what he ends up doing is the exact opposite, which is increasing economic activity, you're left fucked because you read a one-liner on this bitch and you did zero research. So, I don't know, follow the people you want to follow, but this guy's a moron, and it sucks that people listen to him and that take what he says at face value, because in the future, anybody who follows that playbook is going to lose out unless they get lucky, because somehow, some way, their thesis ends up playing out, even though it's based on things that aren't fact. But whatever, that's not how we do things here. So let's keep moving. So CNN Fear and Greed Index, a little bit above neutral. We had some pumping in Palantir yesterday. We're going to talk a little bit about that too. I thought this was a good post from Cantonese Cat. He said, people are pissed because Tesla's going lower. People are pissed because Palantir's going higher. People are pissed at Bitcoin for doing nothing. I'm starting to think that people are just pissed off in general. So I put, haha, most people lack patience for making money. They'd rather chase, which is good for me because without them, I probably wouldn't be rich. And what I mean by that statement is that when these things go irrationally low, when Tesla was at $100 and I was buying leaps, nobody else was doing it. And you ask yourself why, because from a technical perspective and a fundamental perspective, it just screamed, this is the time. There's probably two reasons why. One, there's the all-in Tesla people. They're already all in. They can't do shit. Then there's everybody else that literally is kind of wavery and they just chase. That's like the other 90% of the market. They just chase. They chase. And those people lose the most money out of everybody. Because when you're good at buying tops because you chase things, you'll never make any money in these markets, especially if you're using leverage. So if you're doing the opposite of what you're supposed to do, you're going to lose tons of money. And so I posted this because I just want people to think about the fact that you have to be patient in markets. When I do these leaps, there's a reason why I pick ones that are 2 years out. It's to allow time for my thesis to be right. You have to be patient, especially with leverage. You have to be right, first off. So be right. And then you have to be patient. But again, I think it's crazy how people act sometimes. I don't know. They get too emotional. They look at this. They look at the tickers too much. They look at this stuff on the fucking daily. And instead of actually doing in-depth research to determine whether or not this one-liner is factual information or complete and utter bullshit, they just come up with a thing. They throw out their whatever their prevailing bias is. And I looked at that and I said, that doesn't sound fucking right. That sounds pretty stupid. Actually, why would we manufacture a recession when we're highly indebted? That sounds really fucking stupid. So let me read into this, actually watch the fucking video and see what the reality is. Be like that. Spend some time. If something sounds stupid, confirm if it is. Okay? And I listen to people, guys, that are just ignorant and wrong all the fucking time, just so that I can listen to the other side of the story and figure out whether there's any validity to it. I subject myself to people that are just completely off base all the fucking time, just to see if they have any truth in what they're saying. It is a painful experiment, but I still do it for you guys, okay? Cross-border capital. You know, I love this guy. He wrote the book Capital Wars. He's got like 93 metrics that monitor liquidity. He said, likely next Fed chair, are we returning to sound money and a gold anchor? I posted, I don't think we're returning to a gold anchor, but we are returning to sound money. And we should listen to this. Because, yeah, he could be the next Fed chair. So let's listen real quickly. Let me zoom in just a hair and listen to what he has to say. It's only 1 minute and 11 seconds.
When they kept interest rates near zero for a decade, and did quantitative easing, where the central bank are buying the bonds of the Treasury Department in crises, and they decided to make that more or less a permanent feature.
So again, yeah, the Treasury buying the bonds in crises, and then again getting really short-dated issuance, so that you're not increasing the interest on your debt too much. Just like basically taking the easy road for everything. That's what Janet Yellen did, and that. Arguably is what the Fed's been doing.
It is the Fed that wandered into politics on a permanent basis. And in a period of free money, what was the clear sign to Congress? You can spend all the money you want, and so they did. You don't have to do much to get a bunch of members of the Congress to want to spend money. And they said, come at it, because it's free and it'll be free forever. Remember, secular stagnation and zero rates and zero lower bound. So they encouraged this spending boom. Over the course of the last few years, Congress, at a time of relatively full employment, added $5 trillion in deficits cumulatively, and has put the country in a much more dangerous place. This level of debt is dangerous for our economy, and it's a terrible sign to the world, because we're all talking about economics. Kevin, bad economic policy provokes our adversaries to take us on, so that makes the country less prosperous and less peaceful.
Yes, 100% agree. So well said. Also, some of you guys here, I think this is great. Let me read this real quick. Robert C. And then somebody said, Corey said, damn straight, Robert. He said, no tax on overtime. I'll be switching from salary to hourly for sure. Here's what I love about what you just said. What you just said screamed meritocracy, right? It screamed, I'm willing to work harder. I'm willing to put more time in to increase my pay and get what I want out of life. And so that's you're an example exactly of what we were just talking about. You're an example of a person that will increase their income, have more spending power. And if you have a lot of people that have more spending power, because again, older people, Social Security, you have them giving them more spending power and having them to be able to enjoy their life with maybe a little less stress. And at the same time, again, waitresses, waiters, and then everybody working overtime. Everybody working overtime. I think the economic activity from that alone is going to be pretty huge. Then you're talking about lowering corporate taxes and ending loopholes on the rich to be able to pull in some money from some of that. I think all of this is good. I think all of it is good and all of it is positive. It's good that we look at this and say the Fed and the Treasury are playing some bullshit games. They're being political. We need to fix this stuff. We can't have just easy monetary policy. All these things are good, what's being talked about. And it's not them trying to push a fucking recession. They're trying to avoid a recession, increase growth, and again, reduce the yields in the long end of the curve. And this is all good stuff, man. It's all good fucking stuff. So, yeah. And somebody said that Jesse subjects himself to listening to CNN so that we can make sure that we're getting both sides of the story. It's true, though. I do that. And I fucking hate it. I hate it so much. But I still listen to it and try and listen to it with a relatively unbiased lens. I know my bias, right? You first off have to know your bias. And I look at it and say, am I wrong in any way? Does anything they're saying have a grain of fucking truth in it? And do I need to understand that better? Guys will want to live at our shop, no tax on overtime. Yeah, dude. Justin, I'll be buying the F out of stock when I'm not taxed on overtime, right? Like, again, you can, and what you're going to end up doing is you're going to do what? You're going to buy a stock. What are you doing when you're buying a stock? You're investing in a company and increasing the amount of liquidity and amount of money that they're going to have that they can pull from in order to be able to invest in their business. So you're helping them succeed and be able to fund what they're trying to do. And at the same time, if you're investing in a good company that's going to be good with that money, they can make you rich. This is what capitalism, this is what meritocracy is. This is what we want in a world. We want to incentivize people where, hey, if you work hard, you can have more, you can be more, you can do more. And you want that kind of world. You want to incentivize people to reach for the stars. And I think it's all beautiful. Real quickly, though, Andres Steno also said this. He goes, reciprocal tariff. Emerging market countries stand to lose by far the most by reciprocal tariffs approach, while it may end up being a net gain for Europe. I don't know if that ends up being true because I think not just reciprocal. Yes, that might be true. But I think Trump has a vendetta against portions of Europe, like the UK. You have to realize with the stuff they're doing, with the fact that there's literally, I got one story here where a guy who's in government is facing 3 years in prison because he liked a fucking post. So stuff like this needs to go away. And so I think he's going to force the hand of Europe with the heavy hand of tariffs if they don't comply. But I do agree with him, though. Latin America, emerging markets, India, all these guys, they tariff the shit out of the United States. And we consume over a third of the world's goods. So they will suffer some, and it will create a more even playing field. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting. And also here, Andres has had a bunch of good ones that I was catching up on. He said the private credit creation liquidity is going to accelerate a lot this year. It shows bank credit is going to pick up real life liquidity. The SLOOS leads the actual lending by 2 to 3 quarters. So if you look here, bank credit right here in the light blue versus net percentage reporting strong demand for commercial and industrial loans. So we're seeing strong demand for commercial and industrial loans. If you're getting that, if you look here, the way that this tracks, I mean, this is really close. This is a pretty good indication of the tracking, right? Like he's right. It is about 2 to 3 quarters. Then we should see bank credit expanding and liquidity expanding. So I think all of these things are important and all of them are very positive. What do we got for comments? Dario, I've noticed, sometimes sell at a loss to switch to a leap or another stock. Do you ignore the 30% loss expecting it to recover or just see a better It depends on what I'm doing. I'm not sure of the context of what you're speaking, but I've sold I will sell. I will use the stock that I have in something if I believe very strongly that my leaps are going to perform and I've allowed it more than enough time for them to be able to do that. I will sell the stock at a loss because it is a lower multiplier to what the leap is going to be, right? And then I'll dial into the leap. Like yesterday, I put another 150,000 into Tesla. Got butchered in Tesla pretty good. I think I lost 50 grand on that one. RG got butchered yesterday. What else got butchered? So RG got butchered. Tesla got butchered and CleanSpark got butchered. So all three of those were hit pretty good yesterday. Outside of that, though, MicroStrategy actually went up, and it looks like it's up this morning, and it looks like some of the miners might creep up. I don't know. I'm not, honestly, over the short term, I think anything can happen. But I do dial into the pain. And when I believe there's a reason, and I also move to my most high conviction bets. LW crypto. And again, that's what I did when Tesla was at $100. I did that when Tesla was at 150. And then I sold in the 400s and like upper 390 range. I sold all my leaps. And then I ended up going to stock. And now I've been dialing into leaps, and I'm pretty hard. I didn't take SOC until 70 due to the tax I would have paid. Social Security? Oh, yeah. Okay, I get that. Corey Hubbard, the more money people have, the more they will spend. Yes, they feel richer. It's the entire principle of what he's trying to create. But again, if you listen to QE Infinity, you get the exact opposite impression. You get the impression that he's trying to deliberately crush the economy and that he's trying to slow demand for everything. And it's like, no, that's not what he's trying to do. He's trying to slow demand for labor because you're allowing existing labor to be more productive and feel richer. It's a completely different premise. It's the exact opposite of what dipshit QE Infinity is saying because he doesn't do any research. Mr. Proper, EU desperately needs free speech. Yes, sir. Unlock Real Estate. Guys, smash that like, please. He's doing hours of research into our and dumping it in our minds in seconds so that at least we can do it. I appreciate that. Thanks, man. C-List, you can accidentally like a post, especially with cracks. Yeah, dude, you could totally accidentally do it. And yeah, whatever. It doesn't even matter. Who gives a fuck if somebody likes a post? You could like Kanye's post for all I give a shit. Yeah, are you trying to murder people that are of a different race? Are you trying to murder people or of a different sex or somebody who's transgender because of what they are? That's a problem. We should have laws for that. Oh wait, we fucking do, right? We do have hate laws and things like that. Where if you commit egregious crimes against people because of some kind of hate, you're going to be put away even longer, right? So we have things that help protect us. Speech should be free. God bless America, where it actually fucking is. Are you worried about manipulation to CleanSpark and the time? Nah, not really. And I saw you're probably talking about Stock Trader Max, right? Yeah, I saw his post. He did actually say that July is probably a better time for leaps. What he's talking about is short dated, like 0 day, 1 week, 1 month leaps, which is stupid for anybody to fucking buy. So again, if you're buying 0 day to 1 month, guys, you're essentially saying, I want like a 90% probability that I lose my fucking money. If you want to lose your money with a 90% probability, just go to the casino, man. It's way easier. It's more straightforward. At least there you won't think you're a winner, hopefully. I mean, some people do. Benedict Herwig, lots of on X about not buying CleanSpark. Yeah. Okay. So we were talking about the exact same thing, that conversation's going around. I like 2 years. So the most I've ever bought is 2.5 years out for a leap. And again, my TLT is 2 years, right? Lex Williams, have you talked about the Ryan Cohen, Michael Saylor photo? GME popped 10% off of a photo. Options were up 35%. I saw that. I don't know. Ryan, they got a bunch of money, right? Like, I don't like GME at all, but would it make sense for them to buy Bitcoin? Yeah, sure. Why not? Alex says, I'm buying Tesla today. We're buying more leaps today. I bought mine yesterday. A little early, but whatever. I'm down 20% on my Tesla position, it says on my leaps. But I do still have stock, so I guess I could butcher the stock. I got 140,000 in stock. I could butcher that, buy more leaps. Jesse, look into high dividend yield income stock, for example, MSTY. I think Strike is better than MSTY personally, and I mean that's like what, an 8% dividend. I don't know. That seems like better if you got 25 grand at least. And I don't care about making income. That's not really my focus. Paul Stewart, general rule for leaps that ITM on Palantir is a capital gains account, expecting drawback, but 30% tax and losing the leaps also sucks. Yeah, I wouldn't own leaps right now on Palantir, man. I think that would have to be fucking crazy. When you're at $116, like how much has this stock climbed? I think it would be absolute insanity to own leaps on Palantir right now. The stock is almost a $300 billion company. And just from the bottom, what are we up right now? 1,860%. Roughly. Might be, yeah, it's something close to that. So that you'd have to be fucking insane, in my opinion, to own leaps on Palantir, something that's went up 1,860%. At any point, you could just have all of it go away. Dario, is Hood a good long-term buy? Do you think I could become the bank? Hood, the bank of the future. Maybe. I think. Yeah, I don't know. I like Hood. I love the company. I love all the features they put out. I think it's great. But the bank of the future, that's a good question. I think there's going to be a lot of competition for that. A lot of competition. I think, yeah, a lot of competition. Bought a few 618. I don't think Hood is a good asymmetric bet right now either, because it's already ran a shit ton. So like if you're just buying the stock, that's one thing, but I wouldn't be buying options in it personally. Did you sell Palantir and Hood entirely? Yes, I have. Entirely. I don't have to own everything. I don't have to own the thing that is the most hot thing right now. That's generally like not great for your portfolio, to buy something and think that you're going to do really, really well when it's went up 1,800% in 2 years. That didn't work out well for people with Tesla when it went up 32x in a period of 2 years. This is fairly comparable to that. Not that it can't go to 200 or 300 or something stupid. We're in the banana zone right now. So it's between here and 400 that it ends up just fucking imploding. But I think you'd have to be crazy to think like in the next year you're going to get $400 on Palantir and it's going to be $1 trillion company. I mean, could that happen? Could it go 6,700% over the course of 3 years? I mean, shit, anything can happen. But, man, I don't know. I don't care. I use Hood as my new bank. Cool. Yeah, I don't. I mean, I have it for my account for some crypto, and I have it for some of my IRA, but I have a lot of different things. And there's a lot of different good ones out there. I think it's a much better exchange stock platform right now than it is a bank. Yeah, shares are better. Options is what I wouldn't touch. Like, again, and I liquidated my shares because I wanted to get into leaps and Tesla, because Tesla's down like 30% in a month and a half, which is good. I like that. Justin, I'm holding Hood to, oh yeah. Ali says, I know you like the company, but at what point would you consider shorting it? Who? Palantir? I don't know, man. I don't like to short good companies. If it goes to 200, maybe. It depends on what the asymmetric opportunity is. I do think Palantir is going to have a place in this government, and I don't know how long that narrative keeps it going up. I mean, the first quarter that Palantir doesn't do a good job with showing growth and their CAGR starts to drop. And again, you got to realize they're just, yeah, it's highly, highly valued. Whether you're looking at, profit to sales, whether you're looking at forward PEs, it doesn't really matter. It's got a really high value. Anyway, let's keep moving on. Shadow of Ezra. A former World Bank president has sounded the alarm, revealing that the Federal Reserve has lost over $1 trillion and counting, turning it into nothing more than a massive hedge fund for the rich and powerful. He claims the Fed is borrowing money from banks at 5.4% interest, then pouring it into government bonds, creating the illusion that the government's financial situation is better than it really is. He warns that the scheme isn't just limited to the U.S. It's happened. I agree with all this, actually. Let's listen.
Fund, it's lost $1 trillion. Yeah, it's worrisome. You know, the Fed basically has become now just a giant hedge fund. It's lost $1 trillion, you know, and counting. It's going to be a gigantic loss. What it does is borrows money at 5.4% from banks and then dumps it into government bonds. So think what that trade does. That causes the government to think that it's better off than it is. And so that encouraged the government to be short when rates were zero. So why did the government borrow so much in T-bills? Well, because the Fed was buying the bonds and it made it look like yields were going to stay low for, remember the low for long phrase. So we've got these multiple problems that are going on, and it endangers the dollar. So that's the basic case.
Instead of the Fed having such large balances, wouldn't the private sector be starting businesses and risking capital and bringing returns and adding to growth? Wouldn't all that money be better if it wasn't with the Fed?
That's right, and we're depending on private equity. So as the banks get squeezed out, because they're lending so much to the Fed, it's literally a floating rate loan from banks to the Federal Reserve so it can buy government bonds. So if that were freed up, that would allow the banks to at least consider a small business loan and inventory loan.
Yeah, so what he's saying is that what they're doing is like a giant Ponzi scheme, recycling the money to ensure that we're buying our bonds without actually trying to create demand for our bonds that's outside, external to us, right? Like it's very much the Japanese approach, which has not worked really good for growth for Japan over the last several decades. So to use that approach is stupid, and what you end up doing is you force the banks out of the private sector and you don't allow them to create growth in the economy. This is what we're trying to fix.
And I'm
going to speak to your MSTY comments here in a second, Kevin.
Of things that help the economy grow. And this is on a global basis. It's not just the Fed. It's all the major central banks doing the same thing, meaning taking money from the economy in order to buy government bonds. We need to be clear on that. I heard the previous segment, they talk about money printing. There isn't any money printing on it. It's just money borrowing, and they pay top dollar for it. The Fed pays 5.4 to banks and 5.3 to money market funds, so to the Fidelity and Vanguard and so on.
You think that?
All right, cool. So the MSTY comments, let's talk about that real quick. So you said if you own 4,200 shares, you could make like an income of $9,500 a month, right, off of that. And that's what, $115,000 roughly sitting inside of that investment to give you that income. Yes, that's okay. That might work out, but here's the problem. Over that same time frame, you're getting a dividend pay that's paying out, right? And there is a place for this, and I'm actually probably going to do some of this with Strike, the MicroStrategy version of this, but I'm probably going to do it more in the bear market, because again, look here. So you could say, oh, hey, I'm getting income. That's great, right? I'm getting income. That's great. But what happens to this in the bear market? It gets utterly fucking destroyed, right? We know this because this thing is down 41% since November 20th, right? So it's done just as bad as MicroStrategy's stock. You've lost 41% of your money. The only thing that makes you feel a little bit better about that is the fact that you're getting this dividend. And again, it's like it's a pretty good dividend. You're getting what? How much is it? 10%? I don't even know what it's at right now. You tell me in chat. But this thing will be utterly destroyed in a bear market. It'll be utterly destroyed. Look at September 2024. This thing went from $46 down to $19. So this thing has the ability to drop 90% in value. And I don't even know if this thing ends up just going belly up or what. I don't know how they're positioned. I would trust a MicroStrategy version of this way better in a bear. But I look at it this way, right? If you look at my account and what I've been averaging, and again, I've had a rough course since the beginning of the year. I lost almost $2 million, okay? It happens. This is what happens with leverage. This is what happens when Tesla stock goes down 30%. This is what happens when MicroStrategy and the Bitcoin markets continue to drop. This is what happens, right? But that 10%, it's like, sure, you can make some money off of this, some income, right? Income. But I would beg that to say that like my TLT with an 11x multiplier to the move of TLT that could give me 350 to 700% returns over the next year or two is going to be a better opportunity for that capital. And I didn't get rich by looking for monthly income. I got rich by looking for opportunity, asymmetric opportunities to the upside. Now, could you do something like MSTY with a small position of your portfolio? Sure, you could, just to bring in some extra income. You totally could. But again, it's not how I do things. Maybe I should do a combination of some kind of monthly dividend income. I don't know. I don't care much. I enjoy my 300 to 1,000% moves. Those have treated me a lot better. And again, you can tell yourself you're getting income, but if the value of what you own is continuing to depreciate and depreciate and depreciate, and it drops 90%, even if you're getting a 10% dividend, you're going to be getting a 10% dividend on a thing that's dropped 90%. And that's not going to be as big of a number. It's just not going to be. So I don't know. I just don't know. I think people get stuck too much in income. I got a friend who day traded like fucking crazy. And you know why he did that? Because he wanted income. And he's lost shit tons of money. He's basically gained nothing. But he was looking at things as I need income. If you don't have income, your tax rate is a lot lower. I can tell you that. You get a lot less in taxes. And day trading just increased your taxes because if you do end up actually making any money, it's going to be short-term capital gains. So I don't know. I think a lot of people get caught up in the concept of needing income. I don't love it. That's just me. You guys do you. Anyway, let's get to it here. Let's see, 733. Let's see what we have for economic data. We haven't touched on that too much. So we did get building permits out of Canada. 11%. Wow, that's a decent uptick. Let's look over here. So every once in a while they have a big pop and then they have a drop. So it's all monthly data though. So I don't actually know what it ends up being. I did want to touch on this though. The NFIB Business Optimism Index. If you look over here. Oh, wait 1 second. All right, I heard my daughter chattering, so I had to say goodbye to her. So this ticked down just a hair, but again, we had really the largest increase in history, right, over a shortest period of time. It dwarfs what happened here in 2016 for economic optimism. Like, this is huge. This is huge. It's more comparable to like the beginning of the 80s. That was a bigger number over there, but it's more comparable to that. So economic optimism still looks really good. Mexico, this is interesting. Industrial production in Mexico is down again. And so what were we expecting for the number? Let me go back here. We're expecting 1% growth, and last read for November, we got negative 1.4%. This time we got negative 2.7. This is not looking good. If we look at this trend here, it looks like what was happening in 2019 before they had a major plummet from COVID and then artificial stimulus from all of the government money printing around the world. So it looks like they're rolling over. I would argue that this doesn't look very inflationary. So the inflationistas that think that the bond yields are just going to continue to scream higher, I think you guys are going to be sadly disappointed of what the reality ends up being. We do have a bunch of Fed talk today at 7:55. In roughly 20 minutes, we have the Red Book year over year. We have, like I said, Chair Powell at 9. I'm not going to be listening to that. That's the Senate. They're going to grill him and ask a bunch of really stupid fucking questions for several hours. Maybe something good comes out of it. We'll look at the highlights. Tomorrow's the big day. And FS Insight is saying that tomorrow we're going to see CPI really coming down. And I want to talk about that more. Real quickly, though, I do have to hit the restroom real fast. I want to get coffee. So I'm going to hop over here, and I'm going to put you guys on CNBC for a second. And then we're going to jump more into this other economic data coming out in 20 minutes. Right now, it's dead. Let me see. I might back it up and see if there's anything interesting that was said previously. Sacramento Kings. Yeah, that's not helpful. Global Star. Yeah. Morgan Stanley. Mike Wilson. I haven't listened to him. I actually might. Yeah. Let's listen to this. I'm going to pop you guys into this real quick. I don't agree with the things he says all the time, but it's always interesting to hear. So we're going to listen to Morgan Stanley. I'm going to grab a coffee super quick. Give me 1 minute. I'll be right back. 1 second here.
Priced a lot. 6,100 was kind of our short-term target. And look, there's a lot of news coming out, and we think the growth, so the policies initially are sort of growth negative, which is, immigration sort of enforcement, and of course the tariffs, and that's just a lot of noise. So we're just digesting that. Plenty to do underneath the surface. I mean, financials have been phenomenal. We've seen it broadening out to some degree. In fact, software over semiconductors has been a great trade for us because as
software over semiconductors,
right? Because of the fusion of tech now and the application layers being built out, and we think that got confirmed a bit with the DeepSeek, announcement. So,
do you think that the semiconductor game is taking a pause, or it's over, or what?
Well, it has taken a pause. I mean,
I know it's taking a pause, but is it forever a pause?
Of course not. I mean, it's a cyclical group. And look, away from the AI beneficiaries within, CapEx has been pretty weak for most other semiconductor type spending.
Right.
And of course now with this DeepSeek potentially leading to the next excitement part of AI, which is the diffusion of it in the application layer. That's the opportunity, is going back into the software stack.
Like, there was a time where you were worried about, I think, earnings, which could forecast like a slowdown in the economy that could have been the R word, could have been a recession. That never happened.
That's right.
Have we learned to manage the economic cycle where it doesn't have to? Are we closer to it happening now because it didn't happen, or does it not have to happen unless there's a mistake?
Well, I think a couple things happened last year. What we missed is, we didn't miss it, but we actually called for it, which is a rolling recession. We've had recessions in many, many industries. If you think about the last 2 years, we've been in a recession in housing, in autos, in manufacturing, in consumer goods. A good part of the economy has been
we're not closer to that inevitable day of reckoning for something happening.
No, I will say this. I think what could be interesting this year is you could have a recession in government, right? If you have a recession in government, that may actually cause unemployment to go up to a level
that could cause a recession.
That's right.
Yeah.
But it may.
Did I miss anything here? This is interesting. Current market thesis. Stocks bottomed locally in mid-January when the 10-year yield peaked. I agree with that. Rates are more important than growth for now, but that's likely to change throughout the year. I agree with that. Broadening and earnings recover is critical to our year-end $6,500 target. Oh, okay. All right.
May not be that bad, Joe, for the rest of the economy because they've already been in sort of this soft recession. So that's actually our bull case, is that the government shrinks. The crowding out stops. It allows the Fed to cut rates at some point, and the broadening out can actually happen. A lot to happen between here and there, but that is actually the bull case.
God, that was like a symphony to me, what you just described. Is it?
Cool.
And you think that's possible at Morgan Stanley?
Well, I think they're working on it. Probably the most underestimated part of the administration is Doge. I think there's a lot of skepticism around this.
It.
But the reality is that's possibly the most bullish thing that could happen. If you could shrink the...
All right, I'm loving this. He's spot on right here. Wow, I am really bright today. I feel super bright, super white. Need to turn down my whiteness.
Government in a way that,
it's the end of the free world and a constitutional crisis. I just heard Chris Murphy say that to me. I'm scared beyond belief. I'm scared to where there's nothing in my intestines.
Well, it's the most exciting thing I've heard in a while. Remember, in the 1990s, we had this great bull market. Now, the thing that really sparked that, in my view, was the budget deal that happened in '94. Okay, now, I'm not sure we can get to that kind of a balanced budget, but if we can make progress on that, it liberates the private economy. That's
the crowding out.
So he's talking about the NPR that I was talking about yesterday, and people wanted to make sure to correct me that was not Bill Clinton doing it. It was Republicans that were a part of it. I really don't care. I was just using that timeline of Bill Clinton's presidency. I wasn't giving him all the credit for it. But again, that's cool. So that worked in the 90s. It worked with Truman back in the day. Let's make it happen again.
Absolutely. 100%.
It's interesting. That is a contrarian take, I think.
Why is that?
That's my take.
A contrarian take.
You've been giving me the other side all morning, or giving us.
Well, no, that's not the contrarian take on the.
No, the contrarian take that the Doge could end up being a complete, almost a spring-loading effect for the overall economy is not what most people are thinking.
I agree.
That's what you're
I think most people are very skeptical. Investors are very skeptical because, look, it's hard to do.
What do you think the ultimate number is that has to get taken out for that to happen?
Look, we just need to freeze spending. We don't need to really cut a lot of spending. We're running so far above trend on.
We need to freeze unproductive spending, where again we don't need Sesame Street in Pakistan. We just don't. And I don't care what people argue about that. We need to get rid of fraud, unproductive spending, and we need to put it where it needs to be in order to be able to benefit the economy and the American people. And I think that's pretty sound, and that's why you're seeing a shift and massive popularity for Trump right now.
Actual expenditures, let's just freeze it or at least slow it down. I mean, we're growing at a much faster rate than the economy is growing. That's the crowding out feature, which, by the way, has kept rates higher than they probably would have been otherwise.
I think that's why the long end is running up, and if we don't do something immediately, that will be the problem.
That's right. The back half of last year, we saw rates actually start to move up. I mean, that was our call. Why we thought 6,100 was doable. Is that, a Republican win, a Trump win was positive for growth, but maybe not so great for rates. But now the market is kind of second guessing that and saying, well, maybe they can be successful here. We just don't know. Yeah. And it's going to be messy. That's why we think it's going to be choppy for another 3 or 4 or 5 months, because we don't know the answer to this. But this is the direction they're going.
Right.
You need to turn down brightness.
Is there places you would stay away from right now?
Oh.
Well, I still think low-quality businesses are under a lot of pressure.
Low-quality businesses are always under pressure.
Not always. I mean, remember in 2021 when inflation was accelerating, those businesses
think anything would move.
They did phenomenally well. And we saw a little bit of low-quality work in the fall when there was a grab for risk. So, in fact, if you go back to last summer, right, we were basically recession fears were kind of rampant. And then the Fed cut rates 50 basis points. Low quality did really, really well in the fall. And so I think that takes a back seat again. So we're avoiding that type of stuff.
Let me ask you one question related to your semiconductor view on the pause.
It's actually been a really good take.
Does that also extend to data centers and real estate?
Well, look, there's an AI CapEx deceleration going on. That's not negative growth in CapEx. It's deceleration. But stocks live at the margin, right? They live in the second derivative. And that's what I think, that's potentially what's been weighing on the space.
They're going to get
whether it's
another round.
Data centers, electricity, utilities, things like that, to get a little overcooked. That creates opportunity in other areas like financials, where money had to move, big liquid group that the money can go into.
Excellent. Mike, thank you for coming in.
My
Great to see you again.
You too.
You're close, aren't you? This should not be that hard.
3 blocks.
Yeah.
3 blocks.
3 blocks.
Anytime.
All right, that was actually really, really good. I missed the first part, but that was really, really good. Must-led group bids for OpenAI. I almost want to hear this. Let me just see what this lady's saying. I don't know if I'm totally caught up to speed with this. I think my thought is that all he's trying to do is put a monkey word or a wrench. I don't know the proper saying. Put a wrench in his ability to be able to do this as for-profit versus non-profit, but I don't know what all that's going to mean. Very interested to see. Let me just go back here real quick. Wow, they've got a really long dialogue. I don't know who this lady is. OpenAI. Let me see. Sam Altman rejects. Wow, this is a thing. We're doing a long talk here. One sec. I do want to hear this. 1 second. Yeah, I think Mike Wilson, he's spot on right now. I haven't always agreed with him on what he thought was coming. I think he was more bearish before the presidency.
Welcome back to Squawk Box. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman telling CNBC this morning that Elon Musk is looking to slow down a competitor with his $97 billion bid to control OpenAI.
That is not what he's trying to do.
Joining us right now, talk about all of the drama surrounding this story. Jessica Lessin, founder, editor-in-chief, and CEO of The Information. Jessica, it is great to see you as the world turns. This one continues to. Exactly. We've been talking all morning about fiduciary duties. If you're Brett Taylor and you're the chairman of this not-for-profit that has this for-profit subsidiary with an intention to turn the whole thing into a for-profit eventually, what are the duties in terms of how you see this?
I mean, I think this nonprofit board has a lot of leeway, Andrew, to reject this offer. And The Information reported last night that they told staff that they are going to reject this offer. And you've also got to remember, this is a board that has been mired in a lot of governance crises. It's actually the new board that came out of the governance crisis. But in the end of the day, I don't think OpenAI has to take this offer. And now it seems like they're kind of going on the warpath to fight it and to fight Musk publicly. So it's a real buckle up moment, I think.
Well, but here's the question. Is it a buckle up moment? Or
Yeah, yeah, the Doge I was talking about, Silas, isn't the USDS. It was the NPR. It started in 1993 around Trump's presidency, or I'm sorry, Clinton's presidency. And so, no, it was before that. And that's what Mike Wilson was talking about from Morgan Stanley, too.
Or is this a sideshow? I mean, I think that's the fundamental question. Does this somehow bring in regulators and or politicians in the state of California or in the state of Delaware? To the extent that Sam believes that this is an effort to sort of throw sand in the gears of his plan.
It's totally that.
Plans to take the company private. How does that all work?
Look, it's absolutely a shrewd move by Musk, who's trying to stop this conversion and really just setting a price for what the nonprofit is worth in that conversion. So that's absolutely.
And as far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, I think $200 billion has already been put into this, and he's trying to say it's not worth that at 97. Is that correct? Am I correct on this?
You know, I think objective one, regulators are already involved. Musk has been throwing sands in the gear in a lot of ways. OpenAI's competitors have too in Washington, raising questions about their Microsoft partnership and so many other things. So I think there will be a lot of different dramas to unfold. Of course, the big question is whether the conversion will be able to go through. And that's in the courts. OpenAI has some positive momentum there. But that, time will tell. I think there's a lot more Musk and others can do as this company grows. A lot of people are getting, concerned about its power, and it has a lot of rivals who want to make things tough for it.
You said.
Yeah, it's more, anybody who knows Elon Musk knows that he literally called this guy a swindler yesterday in a post. So he responded to Sam Altman saying that he's a swindler and he's trying to steal from people. And then let's look at some of this real quick here, okay? Let's go back. Let's just look at let's look at Sam Altman. This guy is a lying piece of shit. He is about one of the worst human beings on this planet. And I just want to show you something here. So yeah, there's this whole no, thank you, but we'll buy Twitter for 9.74, and then he called him a swindler. Let me see if I can find. Oh, I hope I have it in here. I thought I did. There is one video from yesterday that was posted that talks about that has Sam Altman speaking in front of Congress. Sam Altman takes a personal jab at Elon Musk after his investment bid. His whole life is from a position of insecurity. What a fucking... That's ironic. That's projection. That's ironic coming from this dipshit. I want to see if I can find this, though. It's Sam Altman lying to Congress. Oh, right here. This is beautiful. Right here. This is who Sam Altman really is, okay? And let me... I don't even have it on the right screen, so let me switch back real quick here. 1 second. There we go. All right. This piece of shit right here. This is... So compare insecurity and think about the words integrity and insecurity, and then watch this video where he's testifying in front of Congress.
Okay. You make a lot of money, do you?
No. I paid enough for health insurance. I have no equity in OpenAI.
Really?
Oh, he has no equity, guys. He's not going to make anything off of OpenAI.
Yeah. That's interesting. You need a lawyer.
I need a what?
You need a lawyer or an agent.
I'm doing this because I love it.
Oh, he's doing it because he loves it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So this guy, he doesn't actually care about money at all. He's doing this kind of stuff because he loves it. He just gets health insurance. So he's probably walking around barefoot right now, not driving $3 or $4 million cars, right? He is a complete fucking fraud and a liar. He literally took money from Elon Musk in order to be, and drives a Bugatti. He took money from Elon Musk with the intent. Elon Musk named this motherfucker. OpenAI is his, okay? And he took money from him with the intent of, we're going to ensure ethical creation of AI, because Musk has been talking about this being a concern of his since Obama, okay? And the asshole took money from him and completely lied. Yeah, the body language, he looks like a fucking creep, okay? He looks like an utter fucking creep. He is a lying piece of shit. He is a lying piece of shit. And let's see what he has to say about Elon Musk. Let's go up here and listen to him real quick. Let's listen to him.
Making a bid
Apparently.
for OpenAI. Your response, you're turning him down for $97 billion.
I mean, look, OpenAI is not for sale. The OpenAI mission is not for sale. Elon tries all sorts of things for a long time. This is this week's episode.
You take it seriously at all? What do you think he's trying to drive at with this?
I think he's probably just trying to slow us down. He obviously is a competitor. He's working hard and he's raised a lot of money for XAI, and they're trying to compete with us from a technological perspective.
Notice he doesn't look at the interviewer at all when he's saying these things.
Getting the product into the market, and I wish he would just compete by building a better product, but I think there's been a lot of tactics, many lawsuits, all sorts of other crazy stuff, now this, and we'll try to just put our head down and keep working.
Does it make it more difficult to move from that non-profit model to that for-profit model for OpenAI?
And why are you doing that? If all you care about is the mission, why did everybody leave you? Why did all the senior leadership for your company fucking leave?
We're not moving to a for-profit model. We're not sure we're going to do it all, but no matter what, the nonprofit will continue to be extremely important. It will drive the mission.
Oh yeah, we're not moving to for-profit. We're just moving to for-profit, and we'll keep this little part of the company that's non-profit so that can still be important, but we get paid.
Continue to exist. The board is looking at lots of options about how to best structure for this next phase.
Oh yeah, he murdered that whistleblower. If you guys have watched that video, I think there was one on Tucker Carlson too. He totally murdered one of the guys from OpenAI. There were wig fragments like in the door where this guy was just butchered. Yeah, it's so fucked up. And he was getting ready to testify against this piece of shit.
But the nonprofit is not changing into anything or going anywhere.
Okay, what is your main mission here?
It's just not the mission.
AI Action Summit. You got Stargate. There's question marks about how much you're actually going to commit to that. Maybe you can give us some numbers on that, Sam. What is the messaging here from you and the team?
So I've been to an earlier version of this at Bletchley Park. And
he's worse than Bill Gates.
On safety. This one, people are still talking about safety, but really I think people are now saying, okay, this technology is here. It's having incredible impact. We've got to drive it. There is a lot of questions about how people can, maybe the most common question I've gotten is, can you do a Stargate in my country? We need infrastructure here. We want to do this. Can you help?
See, he wants to work his way into the government. He wants to work his way into the government of many countries around the world. And this guy's like, nobody cares about safety. That was your entire fucking mission that you were willing to work with only health insurance for. And now it's like, nobody cares anymore. We just want to get into government.
So that's been a common one, but a lot of other things about just how are we going to deploy this technology to make sure people benefit, where's it going to go, in what ways is the model going to improve. Last week we launched this thing called Deep Research. There's been a ton of questions about that, how can we use this to really drive economic growth, but yeah, maybe economic growth has been the single biggest theme here.
So that's the incentive he's trying to push. He's trying to get people like Trump and others around the world to say, hey, we can help you with economic growth with OpenAI. And you're right, he avoids eye contact when he's talking about a lot of it. He looks away and looks in different directions. This guy is about as slimy and sleazeball of a motherfucker as you can be. I just want to be very clear. I'll let the rest of the video play out, and then we'll get back to the good stuff.
And have you had clarity on...
Because we do have economic data to look at.
DeepSeek, I know you and the team have been looking into that, whether they distilled, whether they inappropriately used your inferencing data. Have you had more clarity on that?
Whether they did or didn't,
they a challenge,
they
a threat?
Built a good model. Many people will distill from many other models. Again, I feel so confident about our research roadmap and also our product roadmap that, DeepSeek will do whatever DeepSeek is going to do. Other people do whatever they're going to do. And we're just going to try to build the best technology we can and get it into people's hands. And I think that's mostly going pretty well.
Do you think Musk's approach then is from a position of insecurity about XAI?
Probably his whole life is from a position of insecurity. I feel for the guy.
You feel for him?
I do.
Feels for him.
I don't think he's like a happy person. I do feel for him.
Okay. Do you worry that he has this proximity to the president and that he can influence the decision-making of the U.S. presidency and policies
I think
around?
He's a psychopath. He even has these issues with his sister, and he's just a horrible fucking person.
This agenda on...
You need if he murdered somebody, yeah, he's a fucking psychopath.
AI?
Not particularly. Maybe I should, but not particularly. I try to just wake up and think about how we're going to make our technology better.
So here's the deal. I think that Grok is just going to fucking destroy him. I think Grok 3 is gonna be much better. But I do think that I think that Elon wants to keep this man from getting too powerful because he doesn't trust him and he thinks he's bad for America and bad for the world. And I would have to agree too. I think this guy makes Bill Gates look like somebody who actually gives a fuck about charities and is a good person. Okay, I think that's who Sam Altman is. All right, let's move on. Economic data. Dan, thank you for joining as a member. Appreciate you. The thing is where is Grok 3? I don't know, man. Can it be like a couple of weeks late? It'll be here. Have you used Grok 2? Have you seen how much this thing didn't even exist? Until like when was Grok even created? And now it's one of the best AI agents out there, and Grok 3 is going to take it to the next level. So I don't know. If you don't believe in Elon, you shouldn't be here. You shouldn't be here. Go somewhere else. Hang out with Sam Altman. All right. Anyway, back to economic data. What were we getting? Oh, it was just Redbook year over year. Not too much to speak about there. Let's look here real quick. So again, this is retail sales. It's like 90% of the market. It's trended. It's good. I mean, 5% range. We're kind of averaging right now. If we look over here, that's a decent range. That if you look where we were, before the pandemic, we were right around here, right? And we definitely had some years. If you look at retail, 2015 all the way up through 17, we're averaging like 2%. So it was a much slower pace than what we're looking at right here. This looks actually like we bounced and we created a more sustainable path. Grok itself suggests Grok 3 is probably into February. Okay, cool. Well, I would trust Grok about Grok. It's probably a good one. Who cares if it's the end of February? I just don't. I feel like every person that says stuff like that, like, oh, maybe it's not happening, or maybe it's delayed, and maybe this is bad. Like they don't like. You're the same people who don't have full self-driving and don't have your car drive you around all the time. I listened to a guy on CNBC today who was an expert who was talking about how full self-driving is years and years away. There's just so many stupid fucking people that are ill-informed and that just don't spend the time trying to learn about things or something. I don't know. But if there's anything I would hope people have learned, it's not to bet against Elon Musk. I would hope we've gotten to that point. Maybe we haven't. Maybe people still bet against Elon Musk. I don't know. I'm not one of them. All right, let's get back to it. So we looked at dipshit Sam Altman. We can all agree that he's a piece of shit. And if you don't agree with that, I'm going to just keep saying it. All right, let's go back. Let's see. Did we have anything else under U.S. economy? We did these. These were all good. We watched this. We talked about tariffs. Have not thus far impacted containerized freight. Yeah, whatever. I think we've done all this. Sentiment trader. Now, this is kind of, again, I listen to people that have opposing views about things. I will say Lance, I like Lance, but he's very much a commodity guy. He's like, commodity prices are going to go through the roof. Inflation's going to go through the roof. He did say, according to Sentiment Trader, the S&P's 500's one-year Sharpe ratio has peaked, with historically leads to periods of volatile, moderate returns. So what he's saying is, when it peaked over here, we had sideways drop. When it peaked over here, we went up higher, but then we had, again, sideways chop. Now let's look over here. Let's look at each point. So, okay, does this count as a peak right here? Because this just went up for years. Does this count as a peak? Because this peak was like right here, and then it just went up for years. I don't know if that counts as a peak. Right here, this right here, it looks like it went up for about a half a year, dropped, chopped. So that seems to be right. And then here, back in 2008, obviously, I mean, that there's a whole bunch going on there, all kinds of indicators flashing. So, but there's some periods in here that we're making sure not to notate where it didn't appear to be a signal that was helpful. Where do you see Tesla getting to at a bottom? I did post that yesterday, at least for subs. Here, I'll pull it up real quick. I don't mind sharing with the people that show up to the YouTube videos. Let me go up here though. Subs. There we go. Hopefully this is working better for people. So again, we talked about TLT is filling the gap this morning. That's good. We got the market opening up in 29 minutes. Over here, I posted this. So I said, 342 nearest peak in volumes. My gut tells me this is probably the end of the drop. Right now we're at 347 in pre-market. And so that would put us right here. Okay. And then the next zone is the next fib, What did I say for the price here? 314 is the next fib level. But really, we have a large gap in volume. So I'm saying that it's possible that we could get to 269 to 270. I know people don't want to hear that. It's the golden retracement zone. It gets us close to the 50 or the 200 moving average on the daily, which is a good place to act as support. And it makes it to where we've kind of done a proper back test, which we haven't done yet. Okay, now don't get me wrong. It could even go lower. It could go to 260. I think you have to be mentally prepared for that. I'm mentally prepared to have my calls just get butchered over the short term. And if that happens, I'm probably going to look to apply at least, I don't know, $500,000 worth of capital. Hopefully something else goes up around that time. That would be a great time for TLT to start popping. Because then I could buy more. But I do think that there's a decent chance it's the 100 moving average. If we look over here, guys, we can see that we've held this going back a ways to July of 2023 or 2024. So if you look, support, really support, and then now we're testing it again. So I think that this could be it, but mentally prepare yourself for pain. If you do that and you have a plan, you're less likely to act like a fool. Now, I do want to say this too, on the daily, we're at the lowest RSI level. We're getting close to the 30 level. So again, if we drop down to like this 340-ish range right over here, and maybe even just wick underneath the 100 moving average for a little bit, we'll be down near the oversold territory. Now, this is a pretty precipitous drop from where we were just the end of this last year in December. But if you look, this is the lowest level since about April. So this is about 10 months. This is the lowest level in the RSI in 10 months on the daily time frame. So again, these are it. I shared it with people in here. I'll try and do more charts too for the subs. I don't feel like I do enough. I'm trying to really look at high level, like go in deep on research and stick with the big picture as much as I can. So that's been a big focus of mine. I don't think there's anything else here really to pay attention to. Gold going up, yeah, all that stuff. All those things are happening. Let's go to Tesla real quick. Let's talk about Tesla more. I did want to say this. I like Omar. I think he's right on his thoughts on this. He said, I'd put the probability this transaction goes through at less than 5%. This is the OpenAI one. But again, this is a great reason for downward pressure on Tesla stock. So again, Tesla stock could get just totally raped and pillaged and maybe get sub 300 and really just get people depressed, especially the people that didn't get out of the leaps at the top like I did. They'll be hurting. But again, that's why you have a year and a half for this thing to come around. Actually, it's probably closer to like, 16 months now? 17 months for these things to perform. But maybe 16. I'd put the probability this transaction goes through at less than 5%. Even if it goes through, it's unclear how much Tesla Elon sells versus leveraging XAI, Starlink, SpaceX, debt, and outside investors. It's immaterial. I agree. Yes, stock going down on news that is immaterial long-term is always a good thing for buyers. I agree. Of course, most people just get scared and do nothing or sell. I was just talking about this, right? I was telling you that nobody was buying at 150 when I was buying. People were mocking me for it. Tesla investors. There's this guy, I can't remember his name, Square or something or whatever. He's got like these little balls that appear on his. He sold everything. He sold all of his Tesla around $100, and now he's just a bitter asshole. And he hates Elon Musk because he had no conviction in the company and he sold everything at around $100. What a fucking loser. If you want to make it as a Tesla investor, you can't worry about each day's price action. I agree with that. You actually have to start enjoy losing money. This is what I do. In case you guys don't know, I lost $2 million since the beginning of the year, and I'm pretty chipper. When you see your account down, you should celebrate and cheer, just like a McDonald's fry cook who is compensated for making French fries. You're compensated for shouldering risk, aka holding through the volatility. Less volatility, less opportunity to make money. So again, and this hurts. This hurts if you're all in on Tesla and you don't have extra income and you can't dial into the dip and buy it. That hurts. I get it. That's okay. It is what it is, right? Jesse, can you talk about the miners a bit? Yeah, I'm not sure what you want me to talk about. Let me know. Dario, this will be the narrative. Tesla dropped 70% pre-Twitter acquisition, so now OpenAI acquisition will be used by short sellers as well. Yes, I think that'll be a narrative for a period of time. Amit said TLT. I like TLT. TT, what do you think of the filling the gap at 254? It could happen. I think this. I think that I think you have to, again, be under the realization that could happen, right? Because we got a lot of gaps, guys. There's still people. I just want to be clear. There are still people. Oh shit! No, I just fucked that up. Let me bring it back over. There are still people that are waiting for this gap, right? There are going to be people when if we drop down to the .618, there will be people that are like, no, don't buy here. We're going to 146. We're going to 146. Like that Hendrik von, whatever the fucking retard name is. That Hendrik guy, you know who I'm talking about? The like Swiss European guy who never really has a lot of substance to what he says, but he's called for the apocalypse. And he doesn't talk about Doge or doesn't seem to know anything about that's going on in the U.S. government or why that could be beneficial to the market and the economy. But he thinks that we're going beyond. I think he has a price target of like $20 or something. He's been hanging out with Gordon Johnson. So, but there's people that will think that this one's going to fill. There's people that will tell you that this one's going to fill at 218. Could it? Maybe. But what would it take to get there? It would take a 55% drop in Tesla stock. Could that happen? Fuck, anything can happen, man. Anything can happen. Is it likely to happen? I would say no. Could we fill part of the gap over here? Or just this one? I mean, that's not insane. That's not insane, right? Because what we would be seeing here is a proper back test. And this is a little foobar right now. I don't know if it got moved or if it's just, yeah, I think it got moved. Let me change this a little bit. I think it got pushed around or something. Because this should be lower. This should be lower. It should be like this, right? Well, I guess that wouldn't even fill the gap. Yeah, so if we did a proper back test, it would actually close these two gaps, but it doesn't have to happen. Could it happen? Can we go 55%? Yes, we can. We can. Mentally prepare yourself for it. That would still be, and with options, you would just get butchered. So that would be another 37% from here. So I would assume that my options would lose $600,000 in value, maybe more, almost be completely wiped out. And I would just throw in like another $500,000 to $1 million into them. So, but if this, I can tell you this, guys, if we do get down here, I'm willing to bet that TLT is starting to outperform finally. Because people are realizing that Doge, that a bunch of economies around the world are slowing down, and we know this because we can see it. We can look at industrial production in Mexico and see it slowing down. We can look in China and see it slowing down. We can see major economies around the world slowing, especially in Europe, right? So, and again, this isn't a great trend. When you look over here, we're dipping into the negative, not exactly screaming inflation. And again, if we do what Trump was talking about and lower aggregate demand for labor by allowing people to work a bunch of overtime, we're going to bounce out of this. The growth is going to bounce out of it. But I think you got to be prepared for everything. Just be mentally prepared for loss. If you do that, you'll be fine. What are you guys saying? For those who have the same leaps as you and didn't sell at the top, do you think it's better to hold on? I don't. Again, we could bounce right here. I think tariffs could cause more pain. I'm not selling mine. I'm just going to buy more because I have, again, at least, 16 months, I think, for these to play out. So that's plenty of time to get well above 330, well above it. And so I'll buy that dip. But that's me. And again, the multiplier to the upside gets bigger the more it drops. But that's me. That's the risk I'm willing to take for the upside. Will you be streaming during the testimony? Nah, the testimonies are so fucking boring, and there's very little that comes out of it most of the time. I've done that, and I just find no value out of it. SK, hey Jesse, you think MSTR will outperform miners? I don't know. Maybe. I think it could. William Stewart, do you feel Tesla is at a discount right now? And what do you feel like the price target may be for 2026? I still believe that we're going to go to, I believe the beginning of 2026, we could be at 900. 900 to 1,000. I'm still holding that, even though people seem to be raising their targets like crazy. I think the end of Q1, into Q2 at the very least, I think that we get around that 1,000 mark, and that's going to treat me really, really good. Backtesting the .786 linear fib after breaking all-time highs is not bearish. Yeah, it wouldn't be. Again, we screamed. Amit, Jesse, would you start looking beyond June 2026 at this point? Maybe. The only thing I'm still worried about is global liquidity in 2026. But yeah, it might not be a bad idea. I mean, 2027s might look good too. I haven't compared them, but that might not be a bad idea. Again, you're just giving yourself more time. You're going to reduce your multiplier, but you're going to give yourself more time to be right. I echo Mick's question. What do you think of the June 2027 leaps? I don't know. Look at them. Just go to freeoptionprofitcalculator.com or whatever it is, and pull them up and compare the price and what you're going to get for potential returns, and figure out if you like the multiplier to the underlying for the price targets. Right at 600, how does it look? Is it good enough? At 900, how does it look? Is it good enough? And then make the decision for yourself. Apple Baba moving on some AI news. People are, dude, this is, I actually think, so I posted some negative stuff about China yesterday. I actually think that China knows that they're not going to get a lot more opportunities for American capital. We listened to Eunice Yoon in China yesterday say that Chinese people are not buying this dip. She said Chinese people are not buying this dip. This is Westerners that are buying the dip. It's people like my friend Jake that are buying the dip. And I think he's just doing it as a trade, so that's less retarded. I'm not going to call Jake retarded because I like him. But I think this is their last-ditch effort to pull in capital. This is their last-ditch effort to kind of make some money off of Westerners. And I don't know. This thing, could we go higher? Could we go to the 150s before we crash back down and establish new lows and drop 60, 70% on Baba? This is Baba. Yeah. Do we even make it up here? I don't know, man. People, it depends on how stupid people are. You got to realize there seems to be this purpose, or maybe it's a Western narrative that's being created. Bloomberg loves to do this. They've got a bunch of articles that are pro-China all the time. Everything. They're like, oh, Trump's helping China. This is China. China's great. Look at China. Look how wonderful they are. China's going to do it all right. They do all this stuff so that they can push these markets, but they don't tell you what China is really like. Okay? They don't tell you what China's really like. And I'm gonna show this real quick. I'm gonna show just a couple of things that I want to talk to.
The province of Hunan is
I love these guys. They lived in China. They married Chinese women. They lived in China for over a decade. They traveled all of it. Okay. And so they loved China in the beginning, and then they started to realize that, whoa, this is really just a big prison state. And a lot of the things that they loved for it being new and different, and again, all the propaganda that people push, changed their perspective over time. But what I want to show you here is this. This is the stuff you'll never see. You'll never see this. All you'll see is propaganda and how beautiful China is all the fucking time. What you won't see is this.
Yes, that was interesting, eh?
It was immersed like a pustule.
I watched this.
Yongzhou.
I'm going to just play this in the background
and turn it down a little
bit. I'll take that audio out.
It poured thousands of kilograms of benzene into the Xiang River, okay? Mm-hmm. Reports were seldomly seen online. They blocked all of the news about it until they put out one sanitized report with no pictures or video saying like, oh, there was an accident in Yongzhou.
Yeah.
Which I read on the Chinese internet.
This kind of stuff happens in China all the time. So what the West thinks and what liberal woke ass people think all the time about China is China's great. China's wonderful. China's beautiful. China's working towards renewables. China's everything the World Economic Forum and the International Monetary Fund preach about. Look at China. Look at how well they handled the pandemic. Look, the World Health Organization said America did it wrong, but look at China. Look at China and how wonderful they are. While at the meantime, China basically called us racist because we didn't want sick Chinese people traveling around the world spreading a pandemic. And Democrats were like, oh my God, that's so racist at the same time. But this stuff, you'll never see this. You don't get to see all the videos I see where there's Chinese people running around hacking other people up or driving over them with cars, 50, 100 at a time, and school zones butchering children. You don't see the shit I see all the fucking time across China because they don't let you. And you don't watch this kind of stuff to find the truth.
Everything was wiped, right?
Yeah.
It looks like the authorities were using cheap labor to collect chemicals with no protection, right? And there's no safety standards, and was pouring them into fields and drains to dispose of them.
Right.
So what happened is...
So toxic chemicals, this is the real China, guys. Toxic chemicals poured down drains and fields. This stuff gets all into the sewage. It blows the fucking place up. Everywhere there were pipes for the sewers, it's all fucking blown up. There were floods that happened years ago. They happen all the time, but they don't in China when there's floods, if you don't tell the people that there's a flood and that you're going to release flood waters and you let them all fucking drown and you kill people and you let it all happen and you don't tell them in advance that you're going to be opening stuff up, then the way their insurance, like social program works, they don't have to pay you. And so they routinely, whenever there's flooding coming, they just open up gates and let everybody downstream fucking die so that they don't have to give them money. Okay?
All of these chemicals accumulated in the storm drains under the...
I've watched people, literally groups of people fighting in China that got in an argument because they were in traffic, and the families are butchering each other with fucking machetes, chopping off people's heads, their arms, killing people, chopping up a fucking police officer that comes up to them, just murdering people endlessly all over China. I watch this stuff happens all the time. All brutal murders all the time. Nobody fucking helps because they're scared to, because they don't know if the asshole murdering people is a higher up ranked official in the CCP. This is the real China.
The roads, under apartments, in the pipe systems across the whole city.
Yeah.
So when this explosion happened, it caused...
It's so much worse than East Side Chicago. I lived in Chicago. Okay? You at least get to see the fucking news when it happens. You know when people get murdered. You know nothing about what happens in China. They don't let you. It's called the Great Firewall for a fucking reason. It literally, DeepSeek, you can ask it questions that it shouldn't be telling you. And you know what happens? When it realizes it's a Chinese censor thing, it backs it out and makes it fucking go away. This is the life of Chinese people. Most people in China don't even know what happens in China.
It's a chain reaction of exploding chemicals.
Yes.
That could have vaporized thousands of people. We have no idea.
Yeah.
We literally have no clue of how many people were affected by this.
We never
launched pieces of road and rubble into cars, into houses, everywhere.
Yeah.
You can see it on X, but you'll be going down a dark rabbit hole. You can't see it on YouTube. They can't even show most of the stuff that happens on YouTube because YouTube censors everything. So YouTube isn't the place to see it. If you want to see it, you can see it probably on Reddit. Well, I don't even know. Reddit might censor it because they're a bunch of woke ass bitches. But you could definitely find it on X. You can find it on X. But yeah, it's a dark, fucking disturbing hole.
Yeah, I mean, you could just see some of the
it was
devastation
apocalyptic
here. Yeah,
and it was in a...
Gemini Knight said that's true. I used to work. I lived in Hong Kong and I worked in Shenzhen.
It was crazy. It's absolutely crazy what the devastation that came out of this.
Yeah, it's only available in expensive international hotels because they want to show you. They want to show you whatever. They want to make it look like they're open and everything is good. But this is the kind of shit that fucking happens in China. You'll never hear about it. You won't hear about the people that burned alive during the pandemic. I mean, maybe that one actually got out a little bit. But people screaming for their lives because they were locked up in their fucking in their huge ass 30-story building and they because of the pandemic, and all these people burned alive because they don't have good systems for being able to spray and like prevent the fire from expanding out, and it's all tofu dreg bullshit. And these people all burned alive. And then there were riots. That was one of the leading parts that made the riots so bad across China that Xi relented and opened up from COVID. They locked these fucking people down for over 3 years, destroying them. Everybody thinks they have these big master fucking plans for what's going to happen in the world, and they're so much more advanced. And what they ignore is the corruption, the lies. At the end of this video, they say everybody would think America is the greatest place on earth by far if we censored every fucking negative thing that was said about us. Think about that when you think about China.
One thing.
Yeah.
Because of, and this is what happens, is everything seems fine in China until it's not.
Yep.
So you have...
What did I search? Oh, you could look like China murder, something like just look up keywords. You'll find it. And yeah, if you want to find gore on X, you can totally find it. It might be harder now. I don't know. I haven't looked a lot recently, but again, you can find it.
How many years of probably accumulating chemical waste that they're just dumping illegally, right?
Yeah, and then it just explodes. But this in particular was just this
look at
tanker, spilt this stuff, and again, like you said,
look at this.
Just disposing of it in the wrong places.
Look at that. There's like a subway. Look at that. Look at these buses over here.
It causes these massive incidents.
I mean,
this isn't an earthquake. This is literally pouring this stuff down drains and blowing up most of the sewer system in this town. And the people in the city next to them might not even fucking know this happened.
My point is, this can happen
because they will imprison you. People like this that get this video out, you could be put in jail for doing this. This is like mischief and whatever the fuck they use. They'll throw you in prison and end your life for nothing.
Anywhere?
Yeah.
And it does. It
I mean,
does
we've
happen
seen
everywhere.
sinkholes and
we
crazy
did it.
things.
We did it.
And you know what bothers me the most? You know what bothers me the most about all of this is that people in the West think the best about this country. These woke ass liberals. For years, I've been listening to these guys. Oh, they're great. What about the millions of Uyghurs that have lost their fucking lives, that have their organs harvested? What about the people in Hong Kong that got ghosted? The people that were doing the demonstrations before China, who lied to these people. China, the new colonial power, who lied to these people and took Hong Kong back decades before they were supposed to. Forcibly, and then replaced everybody with a bunch of people that will do their bidding, and then turned it into a fucking another surveillance state. It's like we don't care about human life. The Uyghurs, guys, there's millions of these people. We know they're in prisons. Even the UN admits it. They're fucking slaves. Their only crime is that they didn't conform. China doesn't want religion because religion gives people power, even if you disagree with the religion. I'm not big on radical Muslims, right? But even people that aren't, they'll take you away and they'll imprison you. And then they put Chinese men to live with the wives and the daughters and the sons of these people that they ghosted away to monitor their activity and make sure that they're doing the right stuff. They harvest these people's fucking organs. You can order body parts from China. People do it all the time. Hospitals do it all the time. How can you order a body part for next fucking week for a heart replacement? That shouldn't be possible. I think people have this really rosy picture of China, and they're not willing to actually understand what the fuck is happening in this country. They're not willing to understand the corruption that's involved in it. And I posted other videos too, talking about not just this, but talking about that's the trade war, which is kind of interesting. We look at that. But again, this guy right here talking about BYD's financial time bomb and how a lot of their construct for financing and everything else is a replica of Evergrande. How many times have I said that Chinese EVs are in massive trouble? China's automakers are in huge trouble. This is Jeff Lutz talking about the inventory for BYD and all these other companies. If you guys know who Jeff Lutz is, he's big in Tesla, right? And the Tesla community, talking about how bad it looks because of all the additional inventory they have and how it's larger than what we have in legacy automakers that are failing in the United States. And then we got this. The Department of Justice has arrested John Harold for leaking trade secrets to China. There is so much bad shit happening in China that I don't think people understand. I thought I had another video in here too, but maybe I didn't share it. Whatever, I can share that later. But I just want people, don't have rose-colored glasses for China. The Chinese people are wonderful people. They haven't been free for a very long time. Mao murdered more Chinese people than any war ever did. Okay? He starved them to death, and they brutally murdered them. They murdered them. Watch The Three-Body Problem on Netflix. You can't see that in China because it touches too close to home for what happened there. Okay? During the times of Mao. So just remember, when you have a society that will lie to you about everything and that will imprison people who oppose them, you're never going to get the truth. And people like Ray Dalio, they thought China was the best thing. Oh, I love China. Look how productive they are. Look how wonderful they are. Even Elon Musk, somebody who really tried to avoid politics because he has such infrastructure in China, is even more recently starting to be like, yeah, we got to do what we got to do. BYD is bad. Silas, Jesse, you need to pay for healthcare in the PRC. Migrant laborers, 1/3 of the fucking country doesn't even have the right when they go to work in a city that's outside of their normal, incredibly impoverished location, doesn't have the right to have their kids go to fucking school there. They don't have the right to healthcare services there. They are the lowest rung of the totem pole. Nobody gives a shit about them. The 10 to 15% of the people that control China, the CCP, they don't give a shit about those people. They're slave labor to them. So just imagine how they, like this, there's so much bad stuff in China. I just need people to understand that it's bad. Mike Lauk says BYD is 200 plus days behind on paying bills. Paying bills. That's another part of that Jeff Lutz video that was talking about BYD being in trouble. And yet motherfuckers will hop into my comments and they'll tell me I'm a xenophobe or whatever. I love the Chinese people. I want them to be free. I don't want them to have a dictator controlling their fucking actions. Is Jack Ma back for real? Lol. No, he's not, man. They took his fucking company from them. If you don't realize this, guys, every major company in China has the CCP department in it. They're in it. Every company. Every company. They literally set up a CCP department. The CCP is on their board so that they can make decisions for them. Organ harvesting living people is probably not good. 1 minute to the bell. Let's get to it. Let's get to it. 1 second here. Let me just pop this back over.
Out there, but also it's sort of pulling valuation premium from Alphabet. It really just completely diverged from what they've really been in lockstep for a while, and it actually trades pretty close to where Microsoft does, which was the richly valued one in the group for a long time. They're both like 28, 29 times at this point. That's the other reason Meta was able to have this run. It was not a super expensive stock, just given the earnings power.
Yeah, 16 in a row that's a streak. Looks like 17 will be tough, as Mike points out, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I get no love for sharing the truth, guys. All I get is that people call me a racist, and they point to articles from places like Bloomberg.
Let's get the opening bell here and the CNBC Real-Time Exchange with a big board celebrating 50 years. It's Saturday Night Live. We're going to talk with some of the cast members in a few minutes. Heidi
ding,
Gardner,
ding, ding, ding,
Edward Woden, Lorraine Newman, ringing the bell. At the NASDAQ, it's telecommunications provider Global Star celebrating.
Yeah, the only reason I do this, I feel like, I don't think people understand it. I'm trying to fight for the Chinese people. I want the Chinese people to have good lives. It's not from like hate. It's not from like fear that they're going to do better. I want them to do better. Okay? I want them to do better. They deserve it. They work fucking hard. All right, let's get to it here. Let's see. Baba up 7% today. This is the kind of retarded shit I'm talking about, guys. And Jack Ma is not back. Jack Ma has been neutered. He had his companies taken from him. Why is everything tanking? I don't know. SMCI was up yesterday, so why not? Bond volatility is actually dropping. Let me see here. Let me go down one here. I might have to go down one because I have to, otherwise I can't. It gets really small on the screen, but otherwise I can't see. So the 10 year is only up by 0.67 right now. So it's coming down a little bit. And we've got BitDeer going down, BitDigital, CleanSpark, Neo. Neo's actually going down. That deserves it even more than BYD. I should pull up BYD. I should add it to my stock list. MSTX is down today, but MSTR was up yesterday. Tesla is dropping because, well, I mean, we talked about all that. Yeah, so I think even Hood's down today. Why is everything down today? I don't know. Probably tariff threats. That'd be my guess. That'd be my guess. But again, we've talked about this. You got to be ready for more pain, guys. Maybe tariff threats. Maybe people are worried about what Powell's going to say in 28 minutes. That could be part of it too. Palantir's up. Of course Palantir is up. Of course it is, right? We're in that parabolic blow-off phase. Got to see how high we can go. This is just pure momentum right now. Eventually it'll crack, but until then, it's just going to keep going up. Archie's down. SoFi down. Trump coin down. ARGT down. All right, let's look here real quick. Let's bring over the heat map. It's probably a little easier to see than that. So this was pre-market, right? This is pre-market. Let's go to performance for the day. Not looking much better. We got Apple coming back today. It's funny that Apple's actually bouncing. That's the company that's probably most likely to get fucked with a trade war with China. Would you sell some Tesla and pick up lower just to ride at this point? Maybe I should do that with my Tesla stock since I'm dialing into options. Yeah, maybe I will. I think I might do that, actually. It's not a bad idea. So I'm going to sell the stock that I have, about $140,000 worth, and I'm going to save some of that for buying Loa. Because I don't want to, if TLT hasn't started to bounce and it's not really being a good hedge, then I want to have a little bit of extra cash. And I'm running out of cash because I've been buying the dibs. Probably too early. I'm so guilty of that. But yeah, so maybe that's a good idea. Can we look at RG? Yeah, we can look at RG. We can pull some of this stuff up. Oh, guys, real quickly, though, on Tesla, I did want to say this. The noise right now is the threats of Elon selling stock. The signal is cool shit like this coming. I hope this comes to my new Model Y. I really hope. This is the new Matrix LED headlights. You can see how they turn off the high beams when a car is driving by. They don't show them on the car right in front of it, but then they're able to blast and show you everything around. It's just so cool. Europe has already had this, but unfairly in the United States, our regulations were preventing it. That's being fixed. Also, the big thing about Tesla right now that you need to realize is that mega factory in Shanghai officially beginning. Tesla has a very big push for energy. I could see them consuming not just in China, but also exporting out massive amounts of these things, increasing energy's margins substantially because they'll be higher coming out of China. So I think it's really important that you guys realize that this is going to be impactful for actual fundamentals. Adam, BYD released its AI self-driving sales. Yeah. AI and sales were falling, understandably, due to new model. Yeah. If you trust BYD's AI self-driving right now, and you think that that's real and that that's something that's going to crush Tesla, I mean, it's a great narrative. It just won't be reality. Again, BYD is a failing company. It will fail. It will go the way of Evergrande. I hope people realize that. Newbie says she has that on her Lexus. The high beams go off and on with oncoming traffic. You're not in the United States. You're in the U.S.? Oh, okay. So I know they were talking about rescinding the Matrix LED headlights. And this isn't just going on and off. I have that on my Tesla. That's not what's happening here. If you look, it's projecting it to parts, but not others. So it's not high beaming the car in front of it. It's not high beaming the cars that are coming in the opposing lane, but it's putting it everywhere else. I don't think there's enough focus on Tesla semi-trucks. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff like that that's not being done. My neighbor had a Seal, and I must admit, it's a nice car. Sure, yeah, the company's still going bankrupt, but it's a nice car. Wonderful. I mean, arguably, NIO makes nice cars too, but they're going to go bankrupt. Can we look at the market? Yeah, what do you want to look at? What do you want to look at? Your CRV has matrix LED headlights that turn on and off on specific zones. Is that what you're saying, Silas? Or I'm sorry, King Wags? Clean Spark, what the fuck? Is it going down? Is everybody losing their mind? Let's see. Clean Spark is down. Down 4%? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that can happen. Let's look here. So it's still higher than it was, right? It had a huge bounce, 20% bounce. So that can happen. You said ARC-G and then got side. Yeah, I can pull it up. Not that it matters much. Where were we? Over here. So again, it's been trying to penetrate this zone for the last 3 weeks. This week it started right up here. Now it's going back down. That's a thing. Not sure what else you guys want. Microsoft. Sure, we can look at Microsoft. I find people really love price action, right? People would rather look at short-term price action than what's happening over the long term. I get it. So Microsoft, yeah, wow. This does not look super great. It's kind of been trending in the same range since January of 2024, over a year. It's a rising broadening wedge. It's like a megaphone pattern, right? Like even if we just look over here, we could say that that's kind of a thing. And then if we look over here, I mean, we can't even look right there. It's kind of weird. We almost have to just do it from here. So yeah, I mean, not super great. It's right at support levels. And if anything, looks like it could break down. So I don't know. This isn't a great pattern. This is like a head and shoulder. Left shoulder, head, right shoulder, really elongated. Underneath peak volume. It's just not a good look for Microsoft at all. Mara is going to look like all the rest of the stuff, guys. It's all the same thing, okay? Let me see here. Let's pull up Mara. I think I got that on my shortcut list. So, Mara, again, it's doing this. So, Mara was doing like, you could essentially say a bull flag, right? Like this is Mara. So, Mara wants to break out. Bitcoin wants to break out. I've been saying this. I don't know if anybody's paid attention, but I do think that tariffs could be a concern. I don't know. I've been saying this for like, has it been a week or two? And that it can draw down markets. Tariffs can be a concern. It sounds like everybody loves China. I guess we're in the China's going to do better than the rest of the world stage. SMCI just went up a shit ton yesterday. So, I mean, yeah, it can go down. Let's look at it. But it did really well yesterday. I don't know if anybody noticed. So SMCI has actually been launching really hard. And so it went from up here to down here. It's under peak volume right now. But does anybody think it's crazy for SMCI since January? I mean, what is this? January. Yeah, so for this, since the beginning of this month, SMCI launched 66%. So I'm not sure what people are looking for here, but this is actually probably pretty normal. And a back test to this fib before going higher is probably pretty normal. What else we learn? Lemonade. What are my thoughts on Lemonade? I don't remember anymore. Let's look here. So again, tomorrow is going to be the big deal. Tomorrow is when If you pay $250 for FundStrat and FS Insight, tomorrow is when we get the CPI data that he believes is going to show strongly that inflation is coming down and increase the narrative that the Fed will end up having to stimulate more than they are. If anybody cares about that. So net income is still pretty negative with Lemonade. They got to free cash flow, though, which I do like. $14 million in free cash flow off of $136 million in revenues. Cash balance is burning down. It looks like they gave up on their interest earned on their bonds. But again, it's still in a growth phase, I guess, in regard to revenue. Their revenue is up almost 20%, but they haven't really been able to be profitable. And I just don't know enough about it outside of that. I don't know what the in-force premium even is. I don't know anything about the fundamentals of this company. Revenue by jurisdiction. Oh. So, I mean, it's good that their revenue is actually is above their operating expense, but their operating expense is climbing too. So, ceded written premium, gross written premium. It looks like he's been adding, Alejandro's been adding charts to it. So the revenue estimates still show strong growth, but they don't show themselves actually drifting into positive EPS anytime soon. I don't know. I don't know enough about the fundamentals of the company to be able to tell you if it's a good company. But, yeah. I don't know. I can look at the stock, but again, if I don't understand if they're going to be profitable anytime soon, then I don't really have a lot financially or fundamentally to go off of with this company because I don't understand the fundamentals of it. I can tell you this. I can tell you the stock had a nice bounce, right? From October to the peak in December, this thing went up 250%. Where it goes from here, I can't tell you. Probably unjustified to see that level of growth in the stock over the course of a couple of months. So I'm imagining that there's bag holders that probably chase that bitch because that's just a thing people love to do. People love chasing. I don't even see the point of pulling up Palantir, but I'll pull it up. We looked at it for a second. I mean, it's in the banana zone. So if your first time entering Palantir is right now, good luck. Up 1,900% in about 2 years, right? 1,900%. So 20x in 2 years, guys. And people are looking to enter right here. I saw like ticker symbol U is like, I'm buying Palantir, and this is why. I don't know. Maybe it can go up more, but it's rich. Thoughts on VOOO to park some money long-term, pair with individual stocks during a choppy market? I don't even know what VOOO is. What is it? I don't have it. Let's look over here. What kind of investment is this? Maybe you could tell me. I'll make a copy here and pull it up, but I don't know what it is. I can't find it on the other one. Oh, ETF. What is it? Vanguard S&P ETF. Oh, the last thing I'd be focusing on is ETF funds. I don't. Or not. What is it supposed to represent? The S&P 500? I mean, that's probably not great. What kind of income? What income percentage does it give you? It doesn't show the dividend in here. Weird. Usually they do that. More seasonals. Dividend yield 1.21%. I don't know, man. I wouldn't be looking to get into S&P type stuff. That's the most dangerous because I just showed you that Microsoft looks toppy. Let's look at Apple. So there's a bunch of the large caps that have overperformed for a long time, and I think that they could start to underperform. So I think the S&P would be one of the last things. I don't know. I think that'd be one of the last things you want to get involved in. What is Apple doing? Let's see. Apple's going up today. What's that look like? The best movie of all time? I don't know. I like Gattaca. That's probably my favorite movie of all time. I mean, but there's a lot. I have a hard time answering that because there's so many other things I loved. That was probably just the one that was most interesting to me. It's actually probably a good testament to meritocracy, because you have people that are genetically engineered to be better, and you couldn't get a job because you weren't genetically, like, they looked at you and said, "Oh, you're not even genetically modified to do this." But then this person, Ethan Hawke, through persistence and hard work, outperforms his brother, who was genetically modified to do the thing because he was just a natural birth person. And he ends up accomplishing his dreams, even though he was never meant to. And he had to do that by impersonating another person, Jude Law, who was genetically, like, perfect, but Jude Law lost the ability to walk because he had an injury. And so he pretended to be him with his genetic code. He was able to pretend to be him to go into work and for the DNA samples and all that stuff. And he ended up accomplishing his dreams by just outworking everybody that was genetically more superior to him. I thought that was really cool. I like that movie. Apple does not look good to me. I mean, it's just hanging on to this fib. But it has that same problem Microsoft has, kind of, except over a shorter period of time. And I don't know. I thought it was one of the best movies out there. Yeah, I don't love the Magnificent Seven right now, guys. How about Nvidia? I think chips are getting a bounce, right? Like, chips are all the rage. We got to feed China. We got to send all of our chips through Singapore. So Nvidia is still doing good. It's up 0.32%. It's but again, everybody was hating it down here where it found support, right, before it even got to it, where it bounced right off the dot 618 that we were talking about. And again, I probably sold out of this stuff too early. That's okay. I am very confident in my vision and my dream here. And so we're up 20%, but again, or 18%. Again, Nvidia is just, it's not an asymmetric bet. So you just have to realize that there's no asymmetry to this whatsoever. There just isn't. So to get back to previous highs, we're talking about a 14% return. We just ran 18 in a very short period of time. Tim running today? Good. Maybe that'll help ARKG. Will it help ARKG, though? I don't know. ARKG can be disconnected from reality every once in a while. Oh, no, we are getting a bounce in ARKG. Cool. So, again, we're above peak volumes again, it looks like. We had our wick down to 26. We're above peak volumes. I don't know. Maybe this is the week that we actually break above and out with ARKG. That would be cool. If we can get a really good run going in ARKG, I got 10, 11x the underlying. If that happened, or if TLT starts to break, I will be. You'll see me just grinning every day that I lose money with Tesla. You'll see that real quick. MSTR is bouncing. Yeah, let's look over here. Let's look at what the watch list. Maybe we'll get some bounces today. I think smart money, here's my guess. Smart money will know that we're going to see better inflation data in tomorrow's read. And smart money will buy into that on weakness today from tariffs. Now, tariff talk could totally crush us in an instant. Dario, can you predict more support levels? You're great at finding them, so we think by ourselves. Yeah, maybe I'll make that a focus tomorrow too. I have 2 meetings today. I got to meet with my personal trainer and nutritionist. So I got to meet with Rob and Trammy, the husband and wife team that have been helping me out. I actually did really good and did the entire routine I was supposed to do and ate healthy yesterday and tracked everything. That's the first time I've ever actually done all of it. So slowly making progress there. And then I'm supposed to meet I don't know if you guys know who Wolf Financial is. Have you guys ever seen advertisements with Wolf Financial? But I'm supposed to be meeting with these guys today at 1. So have you guys ever heard of these guys? So they want to talk to me. I don't know if it's the CEO that wants to talk to me or the person that runs this account. I don't know. They wanted to chat with me. I've turned them down a bunch of times and just been like, I don't really want to do spaces, or I don't necessarily play nice with others. I'm too opinionated. And but anyway, they just wanted to meet me and talk to me. Maybe they'll try and still draw me into one of these. We'll see. Probably not going to happen. So if you guys are watching, probably not going to happen. But I think today, guys, I might end a little early because, again, I got these other things going on. Wolf just started a video with Farzad and his crew. Oh, cool. Yeah. So I'm supposed to meet with these guys at 1 and talk to them. Hopefully they're not trying to drag me into a bunch of stuff that I don't want to do. Who knows? Maybe I'll want to do some of it. Maybe. I don't want to give them too much of a door. Not Wolf. Fisher Investments opinion. Okay, not sure what the opinion is. But I'm probably going to call it here, guys. Thoughts on PayPal? I hate PayPal. That's why I sold it all. I'm probably going to call it here and get to it because I got to get my workout going before I meet with these guys. And then I got to talk to the Wolf guys. So anyway, I will talk to you guys later. Love you and hope you have a good rest of your day. And I'll try and do more tickers tomorrow too. I'll try and do that. I promise you.